Sana po matunton kung sino man po yung taong may kagagawa na to. Sana po managot na.
Ako ang pinagkakatiwalaan niya sa lahat ng bagay at isa akong farm manager sa lahat ng farm ni Mr. Atong Ang. Alam naman ng taong bayan, lahat ng mga kasama ko sa trabaho, alam nila lahat na siya ang mastermind sa lahat ng nawawalang sabungero. Sa totoo lang, kaya ko naman sana dalhin hanggang libingan ang sekreto namin dalawa. Ang problema, pamilya na ang pinag-uusapan dito. Ang gusto niya patayin mag-ina ko.
Ang hilig lang namin, sabong lang. Ngayon, kailangan lang namin proteksyonan na sarili namin yun talaga. Hindi namin alam kung ano nangyari talaga dyan eh. Kaya lang, siyempre, masyado na kami bugbog. Kailangan na kami lumabas. Kailangan kami lumaban eh. Malalaman nyo rin na totoo. Siguro sa pag-iimbista niya, may lalabas na totoo dyan. Wala kami kinalaman lahat dyan.
An unfolding true crime story grips the nation as big names are dragged into the case of missing cockfighting enthusiasts. At the same time, all eyes are on the halls of power as the 20th Congress officially kicks off. Now, will lawmakers finally set the stage for Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial? And will the questions on the disappearance of sabungeros finally be answered? I'm Stanley Palisada and this is the Weekend Wrap. After more than 2 years, the case of dozens or possibly even over 100 missing cockfighting enthusiasts again made headlines. A whistleblower has come forward. Julie Dondon Patidongan, known as alias Totoy, faced the media, directly pointing fingers at prominent personalities and government officials. Now, Totoy named businessman and gaming tycoon Atong Ang as the alleged mastermind behind the disappearances. He claims to have served as Ang's farm manager and close aide for 15 years.
Alam naman ng taong bayan, lahat ng mga kasama ko sa trabaho, alam nila lahat na siya ang mastermind sa lahat ng nawawalang sabungero. Sa totoo lang, kaya ko naman sana dalhin hanggang libingan ang sekreto namin dalawa. Ang problema, pamilya na ang pinag-uusapan dito. Ang gusto niya patayin mag-ina ko. Sinaman niya pa ang mag-ina ko, tanggap ko na sana kung ako lang ang patayin niya. Pero pamilya na ang pinag-usapan dito, hindi pwedeng hindi ako lalaban sa kanya. Kaya ako nanawagan sa lahat ng pamilya ng namamatayan, simula sa Witing hanggang sa itong missing sabungero, lumantad na kayo at ako ang susi ng lahat.
But Ang wasn't the only one implicated. Totoy also accused actress Gretchen Barreto, several police officers, a former vice mayor, and other government officials. He earlier claimed the missing sabungeros were murdered and their bodies dumped in Taal Lake.
Sir, for the record po, meron po bang kinalaman ng Philippine National Police dito po sa pagkawala ng mga sabungero?
Yes, mayroon. Kaya sila ngayon, yung alias Totoy, hinahunting nila at tumatawag sila sa ibang tao na makakilala nila na mga killer na sa ngayon pinatungan na ako ng 50 million para ako ay mapatay nila. Yung ex-judge na hindi ko muna pangalanan, siya ang tagalakad ng mga judges, mga piskal, siya ang taga-ayos, dinadala niya sa ibang bansa para maabsulto lang itong kaso ni Mr. Atong Ang sa missing sabungero.
Ano po ang exact involvement noong actress?
Mayroon siyang kinalaman gawa ng siya ay alpha dito sa Pitmaster sa online sabong. Kaya lahat ng mga nangyayari, alam niya lahat.
But Atong Ang's camp is pushing back. His lawyer says Totoy and his alleged accomplice, Alan Bantiles, known as Brown, were the ones attempting to extort money from him and other board members of his group, Pitmaster. That, Ang's lawyer says, should disqualify Totoy from becoming state witness.
Tignan natin yung credibilidad nitong state witness. No? Kasi pag sinabi mong state witness, must be the least guilty. Least guilty. I think aning sila charged in RTC Manila for illegal detention. Liyado yan ng isang security agency at tinanggal dahil sa sexual harassment. In January 2020, meron siyang information. Ito hindi niya rinibil. Ito ang kaso niya. No? Meron siyang information for frustrated murder. Meron rin siyang kaso murder and multiple frustrated murder. in Taytay Rizal. In July 2019, Metrobank Miscon nag-file ng kaso against Don Don for robbery with threat and intimidation, physical injuries, and grave threats. So yun ang state witness.
Ang has filed 5 criminal complaints against the two, including grave threats, coercion, and slander. He now leaves a message to the families of the missing Sabongeros.
Malalaman nyo rin ang totoo. Siguro sa pag-iimbesti niya, may lalabas na totoo dyan. Wala kami kinalaman lahat dyan. Kaya po kami nandito, nag-file kami ng kaso against sa isang tao na ina-accuse kami, ina-accuse ako at ang mga kasama ko ng kung ano-ano, puro side lang niya naririnig nyo. Ngayon, gusto ko lang at least maging transparent lang na andito na ako. Gusto ko lumabas lahat ng katotohanan. Tignan nyo na lang. Isang tao na nagsasalita against sa aming mga decenteng tao. Lahat ng ina-accuse niya rito, mga matitino tao, walang kriminal dito.
Meanwhile, Malacanang says the investigation continues and no one will be spared, no matter their influence or standing.
Sino man, anumang katayuan sa buhay, kung sila man ay personalidad na kinikilala, wala pong sisinuhin ang Pangulo at ang administrasyon. Kung may dapat na panugatan, dapat lamang pong maimbestigahan ng mabuti para mabigyan ng hustisya ang mga pamilya ng sinasabi nating missing Sabongeros.
As it stands, the DOJ says Ang and Barreto are now considered suspects. As this true crime saga unfolds, in the political arena, the new Congress wastes no time. Nearly 700 bills were filed on day one of the 20th Congress, led by House Speaker Martin Romualdez himself. His priority? Giving the National Food Authority more power to regulate rice prices and protect farmers. Also in the mix, a push for a minimum wage hike and a new attempt to legalize absolute divorce. Over at the Senate, returning and new senators wasted no time. Bam Aquino filed 10 bills on education, while neophyte Senator Erwin Tulfo zeroed in on reviewing the rice tarification law. And with the 2026 national budget worth nearly 6.8 trillion pesos coming up, lawmakers are being urged to open bicameral deliberations to the public. Now, amid corruption allegations in the current spending plan, House Speaker Romualdez says this is a step to win back public trust, and senators agree.
One of the best suggestions I've heard in a long time from another government official. Budget debates pa lang nung 2024 hanggang nitong nakaraang budget debates of 2025, ipinanawagan ko na yan na gawing bukas, hindi lang sa inyo sa media, sa publiko natin, yung buong budget making process hanggang pa sa Bicameral Conference Committee.
Dahil sa hindi magandang mga nabalitaan namin, that we have yet to prove na nangyari in the 2025 budget, we will make sure and we will suggest that the Bicameral Conference Committee be open to the public for scrutiny at talagang full transparency. And that is the reason that, if I'm not mistaken, my first bill that I will file tomorrow is the Freedom of Information Bill.
On the local front, newly elected officials are rolling up their sleeves. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno declared a garbage crisis in the city and led a massive cleanup just a day into office. He claims nearly 1 billion pesos in unpaid dues left by the previous administration forced waste collectors to pull out.
We begin at the most visible, most tangible, most felt level of government. We begin in the streets. Magsisimula tayo sa lansangan. The street level of action, and I call this street smart governance. Garbage on the streets must be collected. Crimes on the streets must be stopped. Traffic on the streets must be kept flowing. Dirt in the street must be cleaned.
In Pasig City, Mayor Vico Soto starts his final term and faces questions. What's next for him in 2028? He sets the record straight.
May mga bagay po na hindi ko pwede sabihin nung panahon ng pangangampanya. Kasi baka sabihin political motive. Baka sabihin, siyempre pagka political season, mahirap magsalita kasi sabihin political lang yan. Ngayon, wala nang politika. 2028, hindi ako tatakbo. Ngayon pa lang, sinasabi ko na sa inyo. Kaya malaya akong gawin kung anong tingin ko ang tama.
But amid new agendas and legislative priorities, the biggest political question remains, what's next for the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte? The Senate Impeachment Court set 2 conditions before the trial can officially begin. The House Prosecution Panel has already filed 1 compliance certifying that the impeachment complaint did not violate the Constitution. Now, what's missing? A formal resolution from the 20th Congress affirming it will prosecute Duterte and ratify the actions of the previous Congress. Now, some lawmakers argue the second requirement is unnecessary. Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Jokno, who is expected to join the prosecution, claims this could be a trap.
Yun ang isang bagay na kailangan pag-aralan ng mabuti kasi baka naman maaaring maging trap nga yan. Nagkaginawa ng House yan ay sasabihin naman nila, nag-violate na kayo ng 1-year ban. Filing of an answer signifies kasi that the issues have been joined, meaning that the case is now ripe for trial. Again, if this is in a court of justice, hindi na pwede mag-file ng motion to dismiss dahil the issues have already been joined and dapat na mangyaring sunod ay i-conduct na ang trial.
But the Senate Impeachment Court holds its ground. No trial until the House meets all conditions.
Kung makikita niyo po, yung order po ng impeachment court nung June 10 ay conditional po yung pag-set ulit po ng convening doon sa compliance po ng House of Representatives doon sa second order. Kasi gusto po nila na magkaroon na ng appearances doon yung House prosecutors at yung defense. Kaya po, hinihintay po ng impeachment court as a condition sine qua non na ma-comply po ng House po yun. Yung po yung import ng second order po.
And as the political clash continues, so does the war of words between Vice President Duterte and Malacanang. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro fires back after Duterte once again called the Marcos administration dumb as they question her frequent trips abroad.
Bobo talaga. Diba? Hindi nga official business yung... Kasi... Kailangan ko pa ba mag-explain? Sige, kailangan ko mag-explain nito, no? Kasi ang kausap mo medyo mahina. Kapag gumagamit ka ng pera ng gobyerno, yan yung official business. Kapag hindi mo ginagamit yung pera ng gobyerno, mag-leave ka at yan yung personal. Kapag personal siya, at walang gamit ng pera ng gobyerno, hindi mo kailangan mag-report. So, ganun lang yan ka-simple.
Ang kakulangan po sa kaalaman sa batas, sa ethical standards, ay hindi po maikukubli sa pagmumura o pang-iinsulto. Simple lang naman po, bakasyon o trabaho. Siya naman po ang nagbanggit na trabaho. Pag nagtrabaho, dala ang posisyon, dala ang bandera ng Pilipinas, dapat ipaalam ano ang naging magandang resulta sa pagtatrabaho. Kung walang mai-report, baka walang natrabaho.
Meanwhile, opposition to former President Duterte's interim release from the International Criminal Court is growing. Newly seated Makabayan lawmakers immediately filed a resolution urging Congress to oppose Duterte's release and to stand with the victims of his bloody drug war. A human rights lawyer calls Duterte's request unusual.
And an allegation that a person is old isn't a ground for interim release. An allegation that the person is sick isn't a ground for interim release precisely because you have healthcare facilities at the detention center. Previous interim releases were granted after a trial. So this one is being sought even before a trial has started. In fact, the pre-trial hasn't even happened. That's the one scheduled in September. So not only is this unusual, but this is also outside of the practice of the ICC. There's a pattern here in which Nick Kaufman, the lawyer of Rodrigo Duterte, has tried to undermine not just jurisdiction, which he has every right to question, but to essentially raise political challenges. The court kidnapped Rodrigo Duterte. The arrest was illegitimate, while at the same time asking the same court to grant interim release. So namamangka sa dalawang ilog, and I think that's the problem here.
While Duterte remains detained at The Hague, a new Octa survey shows majority of Filipinos want the country to rejoin the International Criminal Court. The Philippines withdrew from the ICC in 2019 just as the court began probing Duterte's drug war. Octa's founder says this reflects a national hunger for justice. Palace spokesperson Claire Castro meanwhile gave assurance the president listens to public sentiment.
Nung pa rin ho'y lumalabas. Pag ina-explain ho sa mga kababayan natin yung kakalagaan ng ICC as an institution to protect rights, to ensure the rule of law, to reinforce both justice and how should I say this, limit impunity. Mukhang naiintindihan nila yung value niya. Pero yung awareness niya medyo mas mataas ngayon.
Ganito mga sentimiento po ng ating mga kababayan ay dinidinig naman po ng ating Pangulo. So tignan na lang po natin sa mga susunod na araw kung ano po ang magiging saloobin ng Pangulo.
And in Duterte's bailiwick in Davao, a for sale sign in his family's home sparks buzz. But it was taken down days later. Duterte's partner, Hanilet Avancena, says the house felt empty since Duterte's detention in The Hague. But the former president's son, Representative Paulo Duterte, says his father refused to sell the house, calling it his first big purchase with his own money. Now, in another twist, a witness who earlier testified against the Dutertes and disgraced Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader Pastor Apollo Kibuloy now claims Senator Risa Ontiveros paid him to lie. Michael Morillo, or alias Rene, claims he was paid 1 million pesos by the senator to link Duterte and Kibuloy to firearms smuggling. Ontiveros denies this, calling it a blatant lie. She has now filed a cyber libel case against Morillo and other individuals sharing what she calls fake news.
Michael exposed people who trusted the Senate with their stories. And these are people who were already afraid. Now they are in danger. Again, yan ang talagang kinagagalit ko. Hindi lang ito paninira. Those responsible for this video crossed a line and they will be held to account. To those behind this, you don't scare us, but you should be scared of the truth. Because no one gets to endanger our witnesses, my staff, or harass the Senate with impunity. We will not let this slide.
But Ontiveros also scores a win as a Manila court invalidates Alice Go's mayorship. Now the court rules Chinese national Go Huaping and Alice Leal Go are one and the same. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia calls this a wake-up call and wants Congress to pass a law to prevent another Alice Go from taking office.
It tells na yung finding at recommendation ng Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations and Gender Equality laban sa human trafficking ng mga pogos at yung marami pang krimen na na-unearth, nakakabit ng pogo na yan ay vindicated. Pati ng isa pang branch of government, ng judiciary. We still have to remain alert. Hindi pa tapos ang problema sa pogo.
Sa ating palagay, there should be a law that will allow the COMELEC to require additional documents for purposes of the filing of the certificate of candidacy. What do I mean by that? Dapat hindi lang po COC. Dapat we should be able to require even the attachment of a birth certificate. That will be to drive away those who are impostors, those who will be misrepresenting. Medyo matatakot na sila.
And finally, China sanctions former Philippine Senator Francis Tolentino. He's now banned from entering mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. Beijing accuses him of egregious conduct over China-related issues after he authored the Maritime Zones and Archipelagic Sea Lanes Acts. Tolentino calls the ban a badge of honor, vowing no foreign power can silence him on Philippine sovereignty. And that wraps up this week's Top Stories. I'm Stanley Palisada. We'll catch you again next time for more of the latest headlines. Stay with ANC, the ABS-CBN News Channel. Never miss a story. Unlock exclusive access to uninterrupted streaming and premium news content. Subscribe to ANC 24/7 on YouTube and join ANC Prestige today.